At CITSE, we strive for gender equality, but we also believe we have to embody the change that we want to see. In recent years, we've seen a growing number of women take up leadership positions in civil society organizations and NGOs. And even at CITSE, we've seen more women come onto the board of directors. So when women take on leadership positions, they can really make things change.
I think women can see the same themes, the same realities from a different perspective. Very often very anchored on reality, on everyday life, on people have a kind of a people's-centered approach.
I'm convinced that women can change the culture of an organization and that they can introduce more caring and more empathic ways of working together and also more empathic ways of leadership.
And the traits and competencies of women leaders make our organizations more successful. The common threads I see among my fellow women leaders are risk-taking, resilience, agility, and managing ambiguity.
It's really important to recognise that we as organisations have to represent the communities that we come from, and that means whether it be gender, ethnic diversity or other factors, we have to be able to represent the reality of the communities that we come from and that we work with. And that is, I think, for all of us, a very significant challenge.
Et nous sommes dès lors dans un cercle vertueux. Dès lors qu'il y a plus de femmes dans des structures décisionnelles, il y a plus de place qui est donnée aux femmes dans l'association, plus d'attention pour que ces femmes puissent aussi développer leurs compétences, avoir des moments où on peut valoriser leur travail. Et du coup, petit à petit, je pense que ça peut avoir un effet positif sur la société. Et voilà, nous rentrons dès lors dans cette capacitation du coup de donner de plus en plus de place aux femmes dans les structures d'église.
So, of course, despite recent improvements, obvious improvements in the situation of women in leadership, we still have a long way to go. There's still a lot of challenges that we face. Personally, even in my own coming to this leadership position, I faced a lot of obstacles. There were many situations in which I would have liked to acquire a leadership role, but my skills were not recognized as leadership skills. I was appreciated for my organizational capacity, for my thinking, for my planning, but the put together wasn't recognized as leadership.
The biggest challenge is once you are assuming the leadership of the organization, combining your family life, your personal life with your professional life and different demands and the expectation that you will fulfill all the dimensions of your lives. Being natural that women can be in leadership positions in the social sector but also within the church. So I think the first mindset is not in structures but in people's mind. So in terms of the structures, I think within the church there's also room for a lot of improvement, not only regarding women but also regarding lay people within the church. I think there's a first mindset of assuming that lay people have a place within the church that goes beyond what's presently happening, and then within that women and men can play the same roles within the church. So room for more parity, more an equal dialogue, and also reciprocity in the roles.
Notre société finalement, elle est encore fort inégalitaire, et donc ça veut dire que la femme a encore aujourd'hui un rôle à jouer très très fort au niveau de la famille, et quelle que soit la structure ou le noyau familial qu'on construise, et j'en profite quelque part pour remercier indirectement mon mari parce que c'est aussi grâce à lui que je peux être là, mais quel que soit le noyau familial qu'on construit, eh bien, il y a un certain poids de la société à notre égard, et donc ça veut dire que ça a des implications sur les décisions qu'on prend au jour le jour. Et donc le principal challenge, le principal obstacle que j'ai eu finalement, il était intérieur à moi-même, puisque cette décision d'accepter ce poste qui me tentait énormément et que je suis heureuse d'avoir accepté, j'ai dû vraiment faire un exercice d'introspection et de questionnement sur est-ce que je peux le faire. Et j'ai été fortement aidée par mon entourage qui m'a en effet confortée dans ce choix.
Young men, young women internalize society's rules and norms, and they include rules and norms around how a boy or a girl is meant to behave, and the kind of aspirations that boys and girls are allowed to have. And these can be very restrictive, and I think it can undermine girls and women's confidence from a very early age around what they can bring. We need to consciously identify those behaviours and recognise, see where is this coming from, and build our confidence and support each other to feel that the self-confidence in who we are, and that we have equal, if not greater, things to bring to the table.
I don't want that to sound like, oh, typical women are to blame for not shining. But I think the more that we can be confident in ourselves, the more that we can encourage and build others, the better. I want, as I said before, I want my daughter to feel that all doors are open to her. And for me to be that positive role model for her is incredibly important in the face of the many social, political, economic and cultural obstacles that we do face and we still face.
Women face challenges to rising in leadership that our male counterparts may not understand. My advice to women worldwide is to support and empower each other. Help to identify obstacles for women in daily work life at all professional levels and remove them. We must show togetherness, passion, excellence, and enthusiasm towards laying the foundation for our collective progress through our work.
A lot of organizations were built up by men, and so they brought in a male culture. Certainly in church structures you see that most of the top positions are covered by men, so you have really a male culture, and it makes it a little bit more difficult for women to come in all those positions.
Sometimes it's basic things like at the level of recruitment, what is put in a job description. So I think there are things about how we advertise to attract women and men to apply for roles. And then also my experience in particular overseas in different cultures has taught me that you actually have to allow for cultural differences. So women will sometimes interview much more in a much less, I guess, I hesitate to say the word aggressive way, but sometimes will be a little bit more self-effacing than men in an interview. And I think rather than expecting women to change those learned behaviours, it's up to interview panels to identify the difference in behavioural patterns between men and women and to accommodate them. Also, some of the very simple changes that I have seen to encourage women to get on the first step of the ladder. For example, in Malawi, we used to put out ads which said that a field worker must be able to ride a motorbike. Now, how many women in rural areas in Malawi already know how to ride a motorbike? Very, very few. It's an automatic barrier.
We can take inspiration from other women, and we should, but we don't always have good examples in front of us. We don't always have the women in those leadership positions showing us the way. I was actually inspired along my way by women who didn't achieve their objectives, who didn't reach the leadership positions and who struggled, and I learned from their struggles. I learned how difficult it was for them to get recognition, and that helped me to identify my goals more clearly.
Not to be afraid to take that step further, because we can also play a role in the social sector and in the development sector.
For me, gender is just one element in a broader diversity challenge, and we need diversity in all positions in our entire organizations.
We really need to think big and follow the inspiration from others.
Well, in terms of women that have inspired me, there's quite a lot. And obviously there are some very practical things like my mum, who encouraged me and would never take no for an answer. There's a very important person actually that has inspired me hugely, and her name is Mildred Neville. And I first met her when I was very young. I was just straight out of college, and I was working for Liverpool Justice and Peace Commission, and I was really very wet behind the ears. It was a new job, it was a new opportunity, and I met this woman who seemed quite elderly even in those days, and she was terribly posh, and I was this dead working class girl from Liverpool who didn't know anything about anything. And Mildred somehow saw the potential in me, because she befriended me and she listened to me and she encouraged me, and she consistently kind of showed me just by being herself, and she led an organisation herself, the CIIR, that I then followed in her footsteps.
Women leaders today need to fully embrace diversity and build relationships across a broad spectrum of advocates and decision makers based on shared values and goals. Together, in solidarity, women will rise in leadership and bring with them new pathways to peace and justice and care for one another, all things that the world desperately needs.
I guess the key message that I would give to other women is to believe in yourself.